In all my years of speaking to famous people about their favorite kinds of investment, the one thing that has come up more often than others is property ownership and leveraging property ownership and renting out property. People love bricks and mortar, but is it a sensible investment vehicle? Certified financial planner Warren Ingram, the buy to let market. This idea that you can buy one apartment, two apartments, 10 apartments, either get tenants in for 6, 12, 18 months, 5 years if you're lucky, if they're great, or do the whole Airbnb route. What are the risks here?
The interest rate environment that you're operating in, and then secondly, your tenant or guest risk. So let's start with interest rates. You might be buying a property or a few properties in an environment where your interest rates are incredibly low, and therefore the mortgage repayments are entirely affordable to you, and so it becomes on a spreadsheet a very good decision to make. You buy the properties, you get some tenants in, and they pay off your mortgage, and you keep some cash aside to fund maintenance, etc. However, you need to be prepared that interest rates, let's say you're paying a 2.5% a year mortgage rate, and suddenly
in 2018, inflation was dead. There was never going to be inflation again. Interest rates were in a perpetual low. It was a no-brainer. You use other people's money to buy a fixed asset, and then other people pay it off for you. It was brilliant. Then, of course, COVID happened. Then, of course, the supply chain shocks and everything else happened, and suddenly interest rates escalated at their fastest pace in living memory. And depending whether you had a fixed mortgage or whether you had a flexible mortgage, that could very well have broken you, particularly if you'd maxed out on your debt.
And I think that's exactly what happened, and to a lot of people around the world is their mortgage rates went from 2.5 to 7, or from 7 to 11, depending on where they were, and so that kind of massive escalation in interest becomes crippling, and at the same time, it's not just happening to you, it's happening to lots of people around you, and your tenants, for example, are feeling the pinch because their credit cards are through the roof, and whatever other debt they've got is through the roof, so they're not able to pay you as much. So understanding the impact of a doubling of interest rates, and what could that do to your kind of financial calculation if we're talking about risk. And then I think understanding that, the Airbnb deal is great. It works incredibly well until it doesn't. And it doesn't when, for example, a property or 3 or 4 properties around you open up and do a better job than you're doing on Airbnb, or your whole area takes a knock, or you get banned from offering Airbnb in an area, which happens in a lot of cities around the world now. So that would be a big issue. Or if you've got a long-term lease that your tenants reach a point of financial difficulty and you can't get them out the property, that's an enormous risk.
How do we begin to measure this risk? Because it is a risk. What action do we take?
I think you need to speak to at least 3 different independent property experts. So whether it's an estate agent, a property broker, a mortgage provider, etc. So somebody that does this for a living, that will try and sell you something. But if you're speaking to 3 of them, you're going to get a very good idea very quickly as to whether you're on the right track or not.
Understand the legislation as well. Understand the rules, and it's fairly easily done. The internet, once again, credible sources only. Just understanding tenant rights, owner rights, and of course the obligations of you to your bank. And when it comes to a mortgage, Warren, understanding that not all mortgages are created equal, not all insurance policies are created equal. There is enormous financial risk in renting without the appropriate structures in place. Investigate those too.
Absolutely, and I think it's something we're going to cover in a future episode around whether you fix or not, or how long. So just understand the terms and conditions. But I think first step is that big call to make the property purchase decision or not. You need to get quite a few different views, as to whether you're making a good call on a particular property in a particular area.
And always beware of the estate agents selling houses. They'll tell you it's a brilliant idea. Get a broad church of views. Warren Ingram, Certified Financial Planner.